All right. Okay. So let us say hello first and welcome to lesson 27 Radio H Radio 123's part-timers. And we are nearly at the end of the road. Okay, here well, I mean, with our subject here for first year towards the end of the semester, which is next week, and summatives are due. And good luck to you all. Please do note and do remember, even for the structure of today's or this week's lessons, is that I'm going to actually do the one because I am a little just I'm 1 week ahead, which I did plan for, so that would have specifically a lot of time, in the last session next week to focus on summative one questions and answers. Right, I will be also doing, like I said, lesson 28 next week. So today, just listen to 27, and next week, lesson 28. Okay. I really am going to push that people really. I'm going to phone you each individually, and pleased to do address, let's say, some of the questions in that class. Okay, you don't have to attend. I was saying to you, we can have individual, because we are enough. We have a few amount, or a little, like a small amount of students in the class, so I can attend to one-on-one conversations with you throughout next week, Wednesday's class. Okay. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so let's get into this. It's not too much of a long lesson, but we'll do a little bit of a practical alongside it as well. H radio, like I said, 123, creating content, page or part 13 of 14. Cullinan and Nash's books, Next Level Radio, Chapter 4, Storytelling, 160 to 164. Let us talk about this uh, like I said, lesson quite broadly. We're going to be looking at some tips and some approaches to making sure that your storytelling can be rich and basically the best opportunity for the best content, and obviously a product for your listeners of your show. So let us go into what I'll do is I will look at. Sorry, my um. So I did not sit and apologize for my PC and Windows, because Windows wants to operate its system to Windows 11. It's the most frustrating thing ever. Everything is so slow. So yeah, anyway, so here we go. All right, becoming a powerful storyteller. Well, we'll look at the very beginning again. I think I have said this before, because I like to reiterate how, just how very interesting it's always been to me that as a race of human beings, we have been telling stories since clearly the beginning of our creation as well, in whichever way you look at it. I suppose if you look at it from an evolutionary point of view, and you see it from caveman aspect, or a caveman point of view, we had communication from, like I say, because those were the first, I suppose, intellectual Homo sapiens, or versions of Homo sapiens in our creation. Like I said, the evolutionary line. But if what we know from the cavemen and of that particular time, there was whatever type of communication they were using, like language, in terms of whatever it was they were using to be able to tell each other, hi, how are you, or good morning, or let's go kill this mammoth, or whatever it may be, right? And let's have some food ready for tonight, or I don't know. There was obviously still the basis of communication happening between, obviously, human being or Homo sapien back then. What is the word called? I think it's pro. It's not a pro Homo sapien. It's for something else. Anyway, let's go look it up. Anyway, okay. So all right. So we have these now cavemen, and the human essence at any one point, right? it, is always to want to connect. It has always been, and I think that's a part of any species to have some kind of obviously tribe to belong to, and to obviously continue with in a well, yes, maybe obviously a logistical way, like a daily life thing and a species thing and a growth thing, whatever it is. But again, there's also that aspect of wanting to be able to being recreationally enjoy your life as well. Like so, for example, we know there were caveman paintings and there were murals and there were crafts and there were this and that. So arts and represent expression was definitely um, uh, it was alive, and one would, I'm guessing, tell others, within a tribe, of perhaps maybe journeys that they went on, and a lot of hunting, excursions that they went out on. I'm not sure about the terminology. I do apologize for my very low diction and my knowledge about cavemen. I'll tell you why, because obviously it's not that I don't believe in cavemen, but because I take it from a biblical point of view. So we had Adam and Eve and whatever obviously construct they were, and we do have the beginning of evolution from a religious point of view. And we do know that human beings in the beginning also, in any one way that you do see our getting to here as getting to here did start again with people, men and women that shared an experience of, everyday things and everyday life, human emotions, the envy, jealousy, love, passion, whatever it may be, duty, and would talk to one another. And once they decide to start families and starting communities, and again, there were goals and aspirations, and there were conquests, and whatever it may be. There was always a story to be told. And then once again, as we said, there were people that lived and people that are living that had a bit of a like a talent for being great storytellers. So, for example, we might find that people were writers, like, again, like the biblical writers, or they were, what are they called? Uh, not scribes. Scribes is another one, right? Who would, let's say, and just go and document, for information across histories of time. In my, again from Greek, ancient Greece. So I know enough about obviously ancient Greek culture because I am Greek. We had, a large amount of obviously which is obviously known to quite widely to everyone, that there was a very advanced, I say, both the scientific and artistic evolution within Greece as well. And they were also philosophers, and they were great storytellers. There was drama, there was art, there was that very high elevation alongside their very well and back then very effective in conquest, right? They're more hard militant side, right? But the great thing about the Greeks is, and this, and I won't tell you the whole story, but really, this, I think, because I always say it, it's so interesting for me. That the way that they came up with understanding and deciding that this was part necessary of people's life was to tell stories and to entertain them, was as a functional use from, like I said, their conquests and their battles and their odysseys. So they would go out and they would go on long odysseys, go conquer different places. As I keep saying, exploration was also a very big thing for I think pretty much every like a growing nation at that particular point. But what they would do is have a team, like I say, on these particular odysseys that were created or put together quite strategically, right? So obviously there were fighters and there were people that could run, let's say, obviously could run, manage, and control boats or whatever it is, the ships that they not swam in. What is it? Oh my word! What do you do in the ship? You you sail, I suppose. My word. Anyway, but yes, you move in a ship. Um, they were tactical or like tactical army strategists and battle strategists and war strategists, and there were soldiers and there were cooks and there were whatever. But at the end of the day, there was also one particular man that was a part of this crew and this group that was an observer, right? An observer, someone that could actually go and make sure that he would document everything that happened throughout this journey that they would take, this odyssey, and then on top of it, the other thing is that this person had a particular very great talent for being able to put that story together and be able to present it to the people back home. When they did get back home, they would go and really just sit down and entertain everyone, tell them about the stories, detail to detail, and emphasis on emphasis, and just that drama, as if the people who were listening to this particular man were there experiencing every single minute and moment, right? Speak, hear, touch, taste, feel all the sensory understanding of that, and that immersive experience that this one person was able to give them on an ongoing basis. Why this person is so important is because within, obviously, again, ancient Greek culture and the growth and of civilization is that they decided first and they made it official that, like I say, drama and art was an um, official, how can I say, area or areas of like just the human experience, right? And professions and were like I say, were put into stone and constructs of how to do that. So that now theatre was born, and actors and actresses and scriptwriters, if you could say it, people started writing poetry and whatever it may be, right? And it became global, bit by bit, nation by nation, and country by country. So that very long-winded little back end of human history or human, I say, birth, really tells us that, at the end of the day, like telling a good story has always been part of our nature, us human beings. Telling a good story is not just, again, the way that we try to, obviously, scientifically or in a craft way basis, try to present it to you and try to teach you about the essence of good storytelling. But for us as human beings, there's no connection without great storytelling. You and someone else can't have like I say, a valuable moment, or haven't had a valuable moment with other people if you didn't include great communication, And again, this bidirectional interaction where two people are involved, and immersed and together share this great, like I say, this great moment. We are born to listen to stories. We love a great story and are always drawn almost instinctively to those that have the ability to tell them superbly. It's quite so. I suppose envy is futile. For me, I always think about there's just so many great storytellers just naturally. And yes, you can learn to be a great storyteller. But they're just as people that have this this just this, they just wake up and the first words that they learned when they were born was an entire great story about how they as an infant 3 months ago, 4 months ago, came out to their mother's womb and they enthralled everyone around them. That's how great natural storyteller works. And I suppose it's just one of those things where, if you do have it, you have it, right? But we do definitely know like a handful of people in our lives that have told great stories and constantly do regale our attention and our own experience right throughout life with just what came out of their mouth, right? Great radio presenters have two things going for them. One is they have easy way to understand them, and they're relatable, and they are emotive the characters that you can actually map or profile. Like we stand out. So when I say we stand out, they uh, for a good presenter to be able to be a unique product is to be able to stand out, right? So that goes interchangeably. And they should be great storytellers, right? Someone that does have a very natural way of gifting gab at any one given point. Again, for me, mine is yeah, and it always has been a bit of a problem. It's been a nuisance for me, I think, for the past 24 years, and it will continue to be. Is as a natural storyteller, I think too much about it. I just can't tell a great story. And again, I have far too many crutch words and cruxes and cruxes and crutch words. There we go. Um, and words and words, right? That really hold me back the whole time in being able to tell a great story. I suppose maybe on the spot. So I'm very good at, let's say, very constructed and premeditated and practiced, let's say, approaches to storytelling. But I'm definitely by no means someone that is a very natural storyteller. Something that can be learned, but definitely down your heart, you are, you're born with it. Or maybe you're born within, or maybe you're born with it, right? So remember the elements of a good storyteller. Take it from my playbook and do it by the book first, to be able to really try and elevate your understanding of how to tell a great story. Is the hook, the crumbs, the payoff, and the black heart, which you know already, right? So the series of principles from the perspective of writing and performing stories for radio, as named by Emma Coates, a storyboard artist for Pixar, one of my favorite like places in the whole world. Just because they've given us great stories for the almost the past. Oh, what I think it's been about the past 20, 25 years or so. I think Toy Story came out in no, was it 1990? No, 1999, I think. 1999, 1998. Anyway, and Toy Story was the first, obviously, debut Pixar 3D animated film, and then we just saw 3D animation from then onwards, right? But Pixar's been giving us just like wonderful stories for many years now, and really have got their shizness down, right? So you admire a character before for trying more than for their success. All right, so a real person, like a real person with a real problem and a real life that is approaching real things in a real way. From a radio perspective, this can be seen as follows: make sure that your stories have a character that is trying to succeed. Presenters must make themselves as vulnerable as possible in front of their audience, making sure that listeners believe presenters are just like them, or that they are just like them and what they are trying to be or what they want to do, and are striving for the same successes and trying to avoid the same failures, so that you're not someone that is, again, not alien only, but if you try and imagine, and this is not something I can blame a really big global celebrity for, but people that are out of touch with reality, or people that live lives that are extremely indulgent, you understand, because they have a lot of money, and because being a global success, if you are a global superstar, is an allowance to living basically an imaginary life, right? So we're not talking about someone like that really, if you do, I'm sure, try to sit down. And the funny thing is that we first say, when we do sit down with big celebrities like that, is the first thing we say is, oh, that was they're so down to earth, they're so normal, as if they wouldn't be. But on closer inspection, there's a very few aspects of people with a global, like I say, a global sense of living, and a global approach to life that have anything normal in their lives. For you, on the other hand, and not to downplay it, but I mean, like, look, you're not a global superstar, but you are a public figure at the end of the day, and you are a public voice. You still, as a person that does like reside on a public platform, speaking to public matters, should one first and foremost always know that you need to speak the same that they do, right? So that you can communicate and obviously get through, connect, and engage the way that they do at the same time. So when I do often, specifically with my third years, because it's so close to that exit strategy where you are about to you're about to enter the industry. We do like a semester full of live studio, live radio in the second semester. It's time to face it, like time to get ready and time to do it, like, are you the right person, and are you the right state of being to be able to do this as a job, in other words, be an on-air personality, be a broadcaster, and in that way, and in this way, to make some reference to this point, the student must be able to answer themselves a question: do I genuinely get along with another person, and why not, yes, or no. And if you don't, I mean, the thing is that there's no other way forward from that. If you don't get along, even with a few people, if you don't know how to talk to people, if you don't have an like any kind of ability to understand the world around you, because you might, for whatever reason, be very kind of close-minded, or have a one-dimensional line of sight, or don't really know much about anything, or haven't really been anywhere, or don't really want to, whatever it is, want to do, I suppose, anything about it. That's maybe just a first big indicator that this and anything to do with the entertainment industry is not for you, right? So a way to obviously then move forward from that is, would you like to do something about it? Would you like to be someone that does have interest in other people, that does communicate well, that is able to be interested in the world around them, that would like to be a little bit more than what they are currently like right now, and are able to actually do it, right? So let's move on from there and say six ways in which presenters can make themselves vulnerable, right? One, listening is the most important part of becoming vulnerable. Two, while you are on air and something fits your character profile and you're thinking about it, well, then just say it, right? Be intimate and personal, but finding ways to share personal experiences with your listeners is really important obviously, as we have mentioned multiple times throughout the semester. If you share your emotions, tell your listeners how you're feeling about the topic that you are speaking about, not only about what you think, right? So be someone that, again, is a real person, that has a real, obviously, like investment. Show vulnerability and self-deprecation. So self-deprecation, just again, if you, not everyone is this 100% confident human being, and confident and kind of like a superhero at the end of the day. To be self-deprecating is a very normal human attribute where you kind of do have your biggest cheerleader and, I suppose, worst enemy, I suppose, in you all at once. And to be self-deprecating shows that you know that you are conscientious and cognizant of yourself well enough to know that flaws, obstacles, weaknesses, and again, trials and tribulations are part of life, and that you also are having a life right at that moment. Place the focus on your listening at the end of the day. Do it all. And as much as we do say this, as I do talk about this, it seems to be all about you. it's a balance in the sense that you are the core of what you are trying to give the listener at the end of the day. We do say that everything else that you put together as you learn about radio. So in terms of your skill set, the way that you do things, the constructs of the different types of segmentation that you're taught and that you use within your shows and within obviously again the larger the larger net framework of this particular craft, yes, for sure, obviously, is very important. And at the center of that is that again that complete kind of the complete yin and yang to it, which is the you, the personal, the ego, the healthy ego, the larger than life, that voice of the people, the you, right? um, both aspects are equally important. And what do they do at the end of the day? They serve the listener. Right. Okay. Place the focus on your listener. Ask them to share in your experience by having a Q&A with them by saying, for example, have you ever, make the emphasis about them. Have you ever? Have you thought of? Has your day been? Have you thought once or twice in private? Has your week, year, month, whatever it may be, been something like this? Whatever, right? Make it all about them. Okay, even just in just that question, we can take it from any kind of element in radio, whether it be a story, a call out, like I say, a competition. It doesn't matter. We always start with a you in them. All right. So two, you have to keep in mind what is interesting to you as an audience, not what is fun to do as a writer, so obviously as a presenter and as I say obviously as a media strategist, right, or media professional, these two things can be very different, and this is what Emma Coates continues to say. Always put the listener front and center of every radio conversation. Remember the flow and interaction. Make sure that the content that you obviously develop is relevant and it's reliable at the end of the day, right? So, number three, trying for theme is important, but you won't see that stories, or what the story is actually about until you are at the end of it. So then you've got to go and rewrite it. What she's trying to say here is that many presenters become stuck on delivering only their first idea, which is not good, right? An idea is an idea, and this is where we go and we brainstorm and we have that freedom of expression, that freedom of thought, that freedom of creativity, so that we can get all ideas out there, right? I'm saying out of our system. And then we go and obviously go and, separate the good from the bad, but obviously look at the good. And they are just beginner blocks for something that could be and might be and will be, I suppose, something great. Okay. So write the story and then rewrite the story. In other words, write your content and then as a basis form, because that's where you start at the beginning of anything, right? You start the core of an idea and you start to develop, and really kind of polish it up through as many of your iterations as you need to make it sound great. So make sure it becomes the best version of itself, right? Otherwise, why go ahead and do it? I do understand that again in life and with obviously things that we do, whether it be our own personal efforts or efforts within our work, we do, yes, we do often things in a very mediocre and substandard way. Sometimes those things just need to be done, I guess, and sometimes that's all we can actually muster up to do. But at the end of the day, like really, I keep bringing it back to that one example that I think I just used quite recently in one of your other lessons, right? Where if you just go to a restaurant, once again, just go to a restaurant, it's all you're doing is this. I'm looking at a menu, right? So a customer is sitting down at a table. They get the menu. What would you like on the menu? I think I'll take this lamb or whatever it is on a spit or whatever. I don't know how people eat lamb, whatever it is. lamb. And I expect that the lamb is going to have like some cauliflower and some, I don't know, some kind of sauce, and then it's going to be like medium rare, which I hear on top, like through MasterChef, that's how you're supposed to cook meat. But like there's some very simple descriptions and expectations that are given to this customer, and then the next part of this entire story is that that specific, exact, simple expectation is met fully. So what is then our excuse? So the simple expectation from a listener is please just, this is what I'm ordering. Is just give me a great experience. Do a great show, have a great interview, play some good music, do some fun things, that I will enjoy. Talk about the things that I want to talk about. Take me to air. I would love to speak to you, that type of thing. Just deliver on the product at the end of the day. Because in no other way or no other where in our life around us do they do any less or do we expect anything less. So for once upon a time there was empty space every day, empty space because of that empty space, because of that empty space, until finally empty space. This is a great template to use for writing a radio story, especially when it comes to personal stories that relate to a presenter's character on air. And what I'm going to do with some of this, like I said, as I said to you, is I'm going to pull up a Word document. We're going to try some of these, and I'm going to try and put together some examples so that you can also do for yourself. You can sit yourself and say, let me start practicing. Let me start putting this application or this theory to an application of understanding. Maybe I can get a better idea and a better grasp of what's going on. But templates always work, eh? Like again, a bit of a framework, so something that we don't really understand just quite yet, and try to put something together. Right. So number five is simplify, focus, combine characters, and then hop over detours. You'll feel like you're obviously losing valuable stuff, but it does set you actually free. This whole thing about having a lot of information to be able to give to a listener at any one given point, at any one given show, right, is an urge. I do understand. We say that you are supposed to inform them, and but the thing is that there is too much information. There's a thing like too much information, giving too much information. Right. So not only is there so much information that we can go and source and that is available to us as a, like I say, as a radio broadcast and someone that's trying to put together something great. Like what are you trying to do at that particular, like I say, at that particular point in your show for that listener? Is the outcome to be able to empower them in how to maybe renew their license disc, so only give them, and if that is the case, then let them know that Natus right now has made it very easy, and we know we've heard this a billion times, I'm sure, but they really do have a working system. This is where obviously this has been launched at this particular month, whatever it is. We've got Natus on the line. This is how it works: 1, 2, 3, and we've also had it in, like I say, a beta test or whatever it is. I'm saying like Natus has had it in a beta test for about six to 12 months, so it does actually work. And we've had some very, very happy and satisfied testimonials, whatever, to share right from our listeners to the rest of the listeners. But this is how it works, right? And the whole, obviously, what is the point of this? It's introducing people and I suppose making them aware, right, of this particular new platform that they can go to have their license renewed or their license disrenewed. How much is going to cost? Like how long does it take? Do I have to pay? Take? Do I have to pay for postage? And obviously, does it work? You understand? Um, what are the catches? What what are the catches, if any? But we don't want to talk about a different part of, like a different part of nature. So, for example, as I said, there's too much information at any one given point. So in another, I say, dimension, where we're doing the same show on the same day, right? Maybe it was more important to speak to, let's say, the complete reconstruct, right, of natives, right? And again, just in terms of traffic and obviously traffic law and all that type of legislation, whatever it is, and maybe look at new reconstructed legislation and laws that have been put into place, as well as structures, like I said, actual infrastructures that are built around making our lives easier as a commuter, right? I suppose, and I say a licensed individual. How is that, and who do we talk to in that specific context, right? Um, remember, take that one part of the story, simplify, focus, combine characters, hop over detours. You will feel like you're losing valuable stuff, but it sets you free. So keep your story simple, concise, and engaging. Six, what is your character good at or comfortable with? Throw the polar opposite at them, challenge them. How do they deal with that? And how do you in fact deal with it as well? So every character in a story needs to be someone that actually grows, that actually is interesting. How do people become interesting when they experience life around them? When they have something interesting to tell someone else because something happened to them, or like I say, you were taught something, or you've never done something before but did it for the first time this morning. There was it was This was the first sunrise that you experienced on on a Hawaiian beach somewhere, and bring in the new year. Who knows, right? You did something and it was worth telling, right? Because it wasn't the normal rigmarole of everyday boring old you, and the things around you, right? Every character in a story needs to be challenged, and a story conflicts needs conflict or dilemma. Like, so you did have that. I mean, that sunset is beautiful. I think I, not I think I know. I was going to say I think I still have a picture of it. I'm sure I did. It was still back when cameras thing. It wasn't actually. I mean, it was still when photos actually they had cameras that actually were worth taking a picture with, right? And with the new millennium on the rise, I did the whole thing actually was with my sisters and a couple of friends. We went down to Cape Town, and we had, like, what I'm saying to you, like everyone I'm sure did, with new millennium, right? When 2000 broke in, everyone had such a great, it's such a great big all night. But what did I want to do? Like, to sit on the beach and see that first sunrise of it's so corny and cliche, but it was beautiful, beautiful. Literally from the Will Smith song, uh, where he takes a cigar. It's for the look. He doesn't light it. But we had like I had a cigar, sat there in my shorts, and because it was obviously the dead of summer, as you know. Um, Not totally hungover, I would say that, because I wanted to just take in that experience, and that real have a real movie, like I say, a personal movie moment, and reflect and just say, "Welcome to the year 2000." It was just one of those things, being able to put yourself somewhere and experience something. Take a picture, man, and and tell the world about it. Seven, come up with your ending before you figure out your middle. So it is always good to know that you are heading, no, where you are heading before you even start trying to head there. Because again, if you know like what you want to do at the very end of a segment, you will know how to on what to put in to make it there a lot more effectively, and a lot more succinctly at the end of the day, right? So again, knowing what my point is, knowing what my goal is, knowing what the end is of this particular segment, right, and the story that we are telling will allow me to include very specific but very I'm going to say very important, right? Specific, important, and correct information on the road to that ending, right? Finish a story, let go, even if it's not perfect. You are continuously creating content, so don't get stuck on a piece that was not perfect. You get better the more you write and the more you tell stories. Nine. When you are stuck, make a list of what would happen next, or what would not happen next. Excuse me. Many times, the material to get you to the material to get you unstuck will show up, right? So just to kind of explain this, it is about brainstorming, but I think I've mentioned this also before, but again, I keep also prefixing every statement I say, but I think I've said it before. I have said it before in some other context. I maybe might have said it to you, right? It is a very good idea for a creative professional to continuously, maybe once a week, right? Or maybe that's a bit too much. Maybe once every bi-weekly, just sit with your notepad, like with I'm sure you have a notepad that you write in, and go and just first and foremost brainstorm some fresh ideas. Try to sit in the stoop, sit outside, stuck in a bit of a quiet place where you can just kind of relax and disconnect from any kind of reason to stifle your creative flow, right? And don't also put too much pressure in creating an idea, and then go and write a couple of things down. Like I said, brainstorm, just brainstorm ideas and anything that does come to mind, remembering not to be judgmental and not to be hard on yourself, right? Then the other thing is to just go and spend just a couple of hours. I know that sounds like a lot, but it actually isn't if you do it bi-weekly, or even if you do it maybe once a month, right? Okay. Spend a couple of hours with what I call is just recreational internet surfing, right? So you're not surfing for any other reason but to click and read, click and watch, click and listen, right? And write down some notes, right? Copy and paste some URLs or some addresses or whatever, some links into like a word spreadsheet so that you have more idea options that you can choose from. Right. This is a fantastic way of brainstorming the crumbs of a middle piece of actually any piece or approach, right? That you could have in your next and your next and your next and your next and your next after that show. Um, 10. Pull apart stories that you do actually like. Once again, as you say, filter. Some things might look good today, but they might not look so great maybe 3 or 4 or 5 days from now. Right. So what you like in them is a part of you, obviously your particular investment and interest, I guess. But you'll recognize it before you can actually use it. Right. 11. Putting it on paper allows you to start fixing it. So if it stays in your head, a perfect idea, you'll never share it with anyone. Does that make sense? In other words, man, if it's so great, it can never ever be more than just well, it can never be more than nothing at all, right? If you don't share it with somebody else, if you don't let it out of there and do something about it, if you don't do more than just write it down on a note, you might as well throw it in the trash, right? Then go and actually take some action and do something about it. Number 12, discount the first thing that comes to your mind and the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Get the obvious out of the way and surprise yourself. Great stories come from hard work. And ain't that true? And nothing but the truth. Indeed. Excuse me. You can obviously hear that I've got um I feel like fluent snotty noses. Excuse me, man. Anyway, 13. Give your characters opinions. So passive, malleable might seem likable to you as you're right, but it really is actually quite boring to people. What is a passive person? You know, what a malleable person is, someone that just kind of like I can chew without even tasting any kind of sweetness, delicious spiciness, whatever it is. We all know, like what, I don't know if you ever tried eggplant pasta. Seems it seems so healthy. It is very, very healthy. It's like minus 0% fat, but it is so vanilla. It's a terrible, terrible thing to eat. Don't be eggplant pasta to your audience, you know? Be a just rather be some good old Italian spaghetti, you know, with meatballs and all. Um, Strong opposing opinions, good, tasty, delicious pasta, um, on golden radio. Presenters should use these in storytelling wherever and whenever you can, right? Let's have a look further. Okay. Number 14. Why must you tell this particular story? So this is again just reiterating my previous trains of thought, right? Why are you telling it today? Why is this particular small aspect of it the most important aspect at this particular time? What is the belief burning within you that the story feeds off? And that is the heart of what it is you're actually doing on air. So, if you as a presenter have no emotional connection to the story, neither will the listener, and neither, I mean, in terms of like care, you know, uh, let's not even try to fool ourselves into thinking that one you cared about it, so anyone else will care about it too. Make sure that it's told in a way that brings out that emotional connection. And how do we do that? Well, the very first step is to make sure that you are emotionally invested in it, first and foremost, too. So, if you were a character number 15 in this situation, how would you feel? Make your audience want to care and to feel something for your story. Number 16, what are your stakes or what are the stakes? Give us a reason to root for the character. What happens if they don't succeed? And stack the odds up against them. So create some kind of dimension, create I mean, I won't say aggregation, I suppose is the right word, right? But it needs to have like another and another and another step to it, another layer to it. Like give us a point A, a point B, a point B point one, a B point B point two, and then a C, you know, to make this right, something that isn't just something that was said and gone. If presenters can get listeners on their side and rooting for them, they are creating emotional bonds that cause listeners to always tune in. Stack those odds up against the situation to make it something that is worth getting through. If that makes any sense, I hope it does. Number 17, no work is ever wasted. So if it's not working, let it go and move on. That is also the best thing about, I suppose the best thing you can take out of something that doesn't work is knowing at the end of the day that this never will work again. And this is why it didn't work. So just take it, and it's an aspect, it's, I suppose, the essence of pride, because all of us want to know that we have pride in our own work and we're proud of our work that it's been done well enough. Um, and at the same time, it really hurts our pride, right? If we're sitting at the complete opposite, right? Um, at sometimes it's just not going to work, right? And when it doesn't work, like accept it and move on. It'll come back around to be useful later if and when, but like I say, maybe letting go. Take a lesson from Frozen, the movie, the Pixar movie, right? And let it go. 18, you have to know yourself. The difference between doing your best and fussing. Story is testing, not refining. So you as a presenter need to understand yourself and character and exactly what you stand for. All right. So once again, if you have to know yourself, the difference between doing your best and fussing is really where you sit and you are saying this is me, to quote another very famous musical, right, The Greatest Showman. Story testing is all about knowing how it is, or should I say story refinement is as how you as the center of that centerpiece, I would say, right, is your best tool forward to make it uniquely great, and a uniquely great product. 19. Coincidences to get characters into trouble are great. Coincidences to get them out of trouble is also pretty great. But coincidences to get them out of it are almost like cheating. So don't be lazy when it comes to creating your stories, right? Um, and go and just put in the effort. You know what, just to kind of say why it is so great to do a great piece on radio, because it really, and it really puts life into you. It when you know it's gone really well and put in the work, whatever, but you really feel great, you're hyped afterwards, because you can get that kind of like um uh kick out of um that riding that high. Every with literally every single I say element of your show that you do well. Uh, Laziness, well, I suppose, isn't anyone's best friend, right? Exercise. So take the building blocks of a movie that you dislike, and how did you rearrange them into a way that you do like? So we have all, and we will constantly watch a bad movie. Like, we don't know, the trailer looked great, right? But we know exactly, and well, first of all, it could be bad acting. Terrible, obviously, the first thing. It could be boring. The story didn't make any sense. Like, there are massive holes in and throughout the movie. There could maybe be only one massive hole in the movie that completely ruined what would otherwise have been a great experience, right? So, so for us, it's very easy to just remember, because you do have the competency to be able to judge the quality of another product, right? You are more than capable to do it in your own. Presenters should do extra work on their craft. Number 21, you've got to identify with your situation and characters. So you can't just write cool. What would make you act that way? Right. So just in terms of the writing, we're talking about, like I say, putting your story together. Don't just say, cool as a one. That's one way, is also to know that that's kind of like it's a throwaway statement as well. It's a very broad statement. It's a word with many different meanings and many different contexts. um, and it also isn't. It's also not really much in terms of uh, being expressive, to just say the word, well, that's cool, or I feel cool, or I'm cool with it, or cool, um, in any kind of way. Take this on a much, please. I mean, you do understand, obviously, just the the basis point I'm trying to make here. Be a little bit more expressive, right? So the more authentic the story and the storyteller, the better its chance of succeeding. Number 22. What is the essential or the essence of your story? The most economical telling of it, if you know that you can build out from you let me just quickly just restart that from the beginning. Number 22, what is the essence of your own story, the most economical telling of it? And if you know that you can build out on from there. Okay, the inflection was completely incorrect in the first go, right? So every great radio story is usually clear and concise. Listeners should be um, able to repeat the story and the ideas in the story almost word for word. Think about, and that's how we'll close, because that's how we close with this particular lesson, right? Think of it this way. Ooh, the first thing that comes to mind, and I think it's just because I've really been in the mood to go and do it. It's just like when you go to Gold Reef City, and you take the Anaconda. That's probably the best ride at Gold Reef City, and you go and you're maybe going for the first time, right, on the Anaconda. It's scary. Oh, this it looks so cool. Ah, whatever it is, and you wait in that line. It takes forever. Ah, you strap on, and obviously, also, I hope that you still take pictures. It was so great today. You should do that once upon a time anyway, and you can go and buy them or whatever it is, right? I haven't been there, clearly you can tell, in a very long time, right? But if you think of just something so simple like that, like going on the Anaconda at Gold Reef City, right? Like and let's say it's been one of you're really excited to go do it. Every every little emotion that you are feeling, um, building up to it, waiting in that queue, obviously buying the ticket. When you buy the ticket I think at the front door at Golden City, and then if you go for any ride, just stand in line. It's like it's your turn, or you are scared, yeah, whatever it is, you go strap on, whatever it is, and then there's a build up, that build up to the high point, and what I'm saying, off you go. There's a lot of screaming. There's I don't know, people spitting, and there's spit everywhere, and I mean, and all of a sudden it's over so quickly, and and you're back on, you know, solid ground, to make it comically, stereotypical, kissing the ground that the Lord gave you, right? But you will be able to tell that story, even for yourself, that you go and just like quickly go and like I say, scribe it to, because now the words in my head, right? For yourself, you'll be able to write it word for word because of what, like that experience of saying to you how much you wanted to do it, how much you enjoyed it, how long that wait was, the butterflies, the like I say, maybe the little bit of pee that was, in your pants when you did squirm and roll around, whatever it was, up and down that ride, and then at the end of it, and we always say this, we always say this after like a ride at a fun park or whatever amusement park. We always go, that wasn't so bad. Or some of us have ridden that ship that turns around or whatever it is, and you'll end up vomiting anyway. But we don't be like, oh, okay, wasn't so bad. It's great. It's great. Let's go on another one, right? But you'll be able to tell someone if and when um, they would ask about it. Try and think, like I say, about uh, you know, just those golden moments. All right. Exercise 20, okay, 20 exercise. Take the building blocks of a movie. Oh, sorry, excuse me, what am I saying, man? What is the essence of your story? Every great, you see, I'm already in land, Gold Reef City here. Every great radio story is usually clear and concise. Listeners should once again be able to repeat that entire Gold Reef City ride if they wanted to. I'm then not thinking that they probably will, um, and the ideas in the story almost word for word, but they will remember it because you said it with such gusto and with such love as well and such passion. All right, a great storytelling. All right, there are some summary points to the lesson. What I will do then is I will follow up with just a separate practical, very short little practical lesson where we can apply some and most of these little points here to some ideas. All right.